in touch with your soul. And this is what Anbiya alayhimus salatu wassalam did. You know, we have become a very me-oriented society. Right? And the month of Ramadan is all about selflessness. And the most you can give is when you give of yourself. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, as much as it is about individual empowerment, right, you've got to then impart that to others. That is why the month of Ramadan brings that amount of barakah, because it is that time that wherein we keep our own daily activities to one side and do not give too much of emphasis on that day, and we engage in social interaction and social integration. You don't see people gathering the way they gather together in the month of Ramadan. You don't see people engaging with one another the way they engage in the holy month of Ramadan. You don't see people engage in selfless acts, right? Whether it is charity, whether it's giving your time, whether it's visiting the old people, the way they do in month of Ramadan. And they wonder, where is the barakah coming from? That's where it's coming from. That's where it is coming from. And Allah is telling you, 11 months of the year, you indulge in your body and indulge for yourself. 1 month, indulge for me. 1 month, indulge for me, and then you see the benefit thereof. Wallahi, the basic spiritual benefit. And I'll give you an example of a Sahabi, Zayd bin Haritha radiallahu ta'ala, narrated in Tabrani. Right? And this has a Hasan chain. I'm giving you the gist of the hadith. The Holy Prophet alayhi salatu one day came to him, and he was lying down in the masjid. And the Holy Prophet tapped him with his foot. And he said, "Oh Harisa, in what condition do you find yourself in? What is your spiritual state right now?" He said, "Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, I find myself in a state of perfect iman." Now, he's a Sahabi, he's a companion. And the Rasul of Allah is asking him to do an audit of his own spiritual condition. And he gives an answer, "I'm in a state of perfect iman." Very dangerous. You understand? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, behind every declaration, behind every statement like this here, there must be proof. What is your proof? So he said, "Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I spend the entire day in fasting, and I spend the entire night awake, engaged in ibadah. And as a result of this engagement in these spiritual exercises, I see myself in a condition right now wherein I can see Jannah, I can see Jahannam, I can see the people of Jannah congratulating one another and speaking good to one another, and I see the people of hell, right, cursing one another and cursing themselves and engaging and so on there. Right? And I can see the 7 heavens." What happened to him? What happened to him? The spiritual exercise of siyam and keeping awake at night, going away from conventional wisdom, right, unlocked his spiritual potential. And what can only be achieved by you and me in a dream-like state. In a dream, you can see malaika. In a dream, you can travel if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills with your soul there. You can look into heaven, hell. If Allah wills it, you can do that. But it's only in a dream-like state. But Rasulullah is giving you through the example of this Sahabi and many others like that, right, that you can harness that potential of your subconscious, your conscious, and your unconscious states, all which are states of being. You can harness it in any condition whatsoever. And if you are able to do this through these spiritual exercises there, those other hidden, latent faculties in you will become open. Sayyidina Umar ibn al-Khattab, he's in Medina, right? And there's an engagement of the army taking place 1,000 miles away. From 1,000 miles away, Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu ta'ala anhu had the vision to be able to see exactly what was going there. He could project and transmit his voice 1,000 miles away. How was he able to do that? That wasn't the capacity of his body only, but he tapped into his spiritual potential. Like you and I get a sneak preview every night, how much of spiritual potential you have. You can be in one moment in one place here, and next moment you are in another place. These are all capacities of the ruh. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says it's a simple procedure to unlock it. Do not engage in useless talk. Do not engage in useless activity. Keep this tongue moist with the dhikr of Allah. Abstain to the best of your ability from food and drink. Keep yourself awake at night, engaging in being empowered by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through His love. And as a simple and as a first step reward for that, all of this opens up for you. But the ultimate reward is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say, "Lisaimi farhatan." There are 2 joys for a fasting person. And a fasting person, like I said, is not only one who abstained from food and drink, but who changed and modified his behavior, who who restrained himself on every level. One is when he breaks his fast. And observe that time. You know, when you break your fast, it's almost like an ecstatic moment for a couple of seconds. You know, it just gives you a certain joy that it's unbelievable. You know, it's almost like it's a eureka moment. It's momentary, but it's a wonderful feeling, right? And then, عند لقاء ربه. And that moment, imagine if that ecstatic moment was extended. عند لقاء ربه. When he meets with his Lord. Every day for the next 30 days, when you feel that joy, when you break your fast, that momentary joy, a second or two or three, drink it, digest it, enjoy it, taste it, and then imagine how, if this is extended for an infinite amount of time, indefinite amount of time, is what the experience of being united with your Lord will be like. And then you will know why abstention from food and drink, abstention from giving into your anger, abstention from giving into your emotions, and all of these things, and keeping awake at night, going against the nature of your physicality will harness your spirituality and what those rewards are. Let this Ramadan be a change in your mindset. Let it be a change on all aspects, and try and maximize this potential in you. And see it. You will notice, have you noticed something, right? Is that when you are fasting, can you take an afternoon nap? Think about this. Right? Because you haven't eaten any food, the body doesn't need to rest and, and deal with the matters there. It's very difficult for you to take an afternoon nap when you are fasting. You'll be surprised, right? Whereas if you just ate a good meal in the afternoon, it's easier for you to take a power nap. And you will notice there that if you take a power nap as well, it enables you and assists you to stay awake at night. And you will notice something, that when you are awake at night and everything is still, right, and the body wants to sleep, because it's the only time in a state of sleep does the soul leave the body. The soul wants to leave the body, but you're keeping it awake. The soul wants to leave the body, but you're keeping it awake. What happens eventually? The soul is literally breaking out. And you will notice that at that time, you begin to hear things like, where are these things coming from? Right? What's happening? There's almost a convergence between your conscious and your unconscious state. And you will notice that. Right? And for those few moments, you'll notice that there's clarity of mind. Because the body now is saying, hey, hold on a minute, the soul is taking over. There's clarity of mind. You can focus greater. You notice there that you are more alert in a different way. Right? And this is what Anbiya alayhi salatu and Sahaba Kiram and all the greatest followers of the Sunnah of Rasulullah experienced. Therefore, they knew what it meant spending the entire night in ibadah, because they knew the spiritual benefits thereof. And this is what we need to do. We need to realize that we are essentially spiritual beings, and we need to once again harness and reacquaint ourselves with that aspect of our personality, which is our ruh. And this month of Ramadan is for that. And remember, it's only for one being. It's for Allah. And Allah will grant you its reward, and Allah is its true, genuine reward. Allah gives us tawfiq and hidayah, inshallah ta'ala. Jazakum khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.